clarify a few things. I didn't start Sharing Stories. I'm part of Sharing Stories International. We are a charity organization which consists of a collaboration between 3 parties. The Association of Service Users, both in Uganda and the UK, University of Lancaster in the UK, and Makerere University. We've been existing for quite a long time. If I'm not mistaken, more than 3 years, right? And I just decided that instead of doing things at the national level, let's go local first, sharing stories about mental health, have conversations with the university congregation. So, the Sharing Stories Uganda chapter, if I'm not, which is targeting Makerere University students first. This is its first and featuring. I just decided that so you guys are the pioneers for Sharing Stories Uganda chapter, specifically Makerere University. Stories about some of ourselves. Which is thank you so much. Today, this event is featuring the theme community participation and support in recovery from mental illness or its role in mental health. Okay? This theme was proposed by our keynote speaker. His name is JJ Paul. I'm not going to say so much about JJ Paul. We prepared something supports and recovery. I'll let you guys enjoy it. But before they play that clip, I would like to role in mental health. Thank you so much for coming. And once again, this enjoy yourself. The moment JJ Paul is done with his speech, we're going to open this up to the audience. But I trust that the MCs of the day will be able to guide us. And thank you so much once again. I'll let you guys enjoy. But before they play that clip, I would like to role in mental health. Thank you so much for coming. And once again, this enjoy yourself. The moment JJ Paul is done with his speech, JJ the man himself has come for us and thinking about a lot of things, lots of questions, but I'm glad that the man himself is here with us and we will have time to have a chat. So, welcome to Sharing Stories Uganda chapter event. Ladies and gentlemen, when the Sharing Stories group members decided that JJ Paul, who is officially known as John Bosco Jolly, and he loves his work. When you go to Gulu Referral Hospital, people can identify him, they know him, and so many greet him with smiles. He definitely loves his job and has so many colleagues. Gets there every morning and does his work. In fact, that's his home. He calls it home because he's been there for as long as he could remember. What an honor. What a humbling experience. What a blessing for me to be the person to interact with this humble soul. I hope that whoever gets a chance to attend this event is blessed as much as I was and continue to be personally. As an individual who has experienced and struggled with mental illness, JJ Paul didn't stop, probably will never stop, but has taken on an important role to serve not only individuals who utilize mental health services, but also the community. Listen to this.
Mental attendant is second enrolled psychiatric nurse, for which, in the absence of enrolled psychiatric nurse, mental health attendant take up the role of enrolled psychiatric nurse. And basically, our role are basic nursing role. For me, advocacy on behalf of the service users who have voiceless and they are unable to independent themselves.
Speaking to J.J. Paul, listening, reflecting, I see the conviction. A man that has not only battled stigma, a man who is determined to demystify common beliefs surrounding mental illness. J.J. Paul is officially an employee of the government of Uganda. He was given a job by the Ministry of Health as a mental health attendant, and he loves his job. In his own words, but a man with a clear vision to stand tall, not only for himself, but even the rest. He is convinced that there's a lot of work to do, but I am convinced that he will surely be the man to speak to people about the role of the community and recovery from mental illness. This man has a lot to offer. Watch out. He is convinced that there's a lot of work to do, but I am convinced that he will surely be the man to speak to people about the role of the community and recovery.
So at that point that we clap. Thank you, JJ. So I'll take this time and the honor to invite JJ Paul to speak to us this afternoon.
To speak to people about the role of the community.
So at that point that we clap. Thank you, JJ. So I'll take this time and the honor to invite JJ Paul to speak to this afternoon.
To speak to people about the role of the community.
So at that point that we clap. Thank you, JJ. So I'll take this time and the honor to invite JJ Paul to speak to this afternoon.
To speak to people about the role of the community.
So at that point that we clap. Thank you, JJ. So I'll the honor to invite JJ Paul to speak to this afternoon. Thank you, JJ. So I'll to invite JJ Paul to speak to this afternoon.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, 22nd September 2017, I take this opportunity to, as usual, continue to share with you my journey of mental illness to where I have reached at the moment. So you're all I want to begin by making a brief introduction. September, as you might have heard from the clip that has been placed, opportunity My full name is a sentence. Nyeko Jolly John Paul. Full names. But normally I prefer people calling me JJ Paul, as it was being emphasized in the clip. I want to begin by making a introduction. I am September, as you might have heard from the clip, 8 years old. My full name is a sentence. I belong to a family of 9 Paul, and I made the 4th born in my family. All my parents are still alive, emphasized in the clip, and they're peasant farmers. I am married and wedded with a daughter called Nyapolo Rhoda Ellis, and my wife's name is Jen. I belong to a family of 9. I think it is important also to mention that in my family, I have some roles, and that I play as an individual and as a citizen of Uganda. And as you have heard in the clip, I am employed by Ministry of Health as mental health attendant and posted to Gulu Regional Referral Hospital, where my home district is also located. Secondly, as a family of 9, there are a lot of things that people normally consider as causes of mental illness. But I take upon me and also present to you a discussion that I made with my personnel who worked to help me where I have reached. I remember when I was still a young boy, about 3 things happened in my life, which in the discussion with the medical personnel, they suggested that they might have been those things that made me develop as mental illness. One, I remember when the National Resistance Army was taking power of the country, and in my small village in Amoro, one of the soldiers decided to come and raped my own cousin sister in our presence, together with the rest of the family members. That thing remained in me really for a long period of time. Posted to Gulu Regional Another thing, as you might remember, in my introduction, I come from Gulu, and Gulu in the whole world is known for the Lord Resistance Army war that took long that side. And in the process of those activities, also remember one incident where my own uncle was shot with a gun dead, and not only leaving him like that, but he was smashed completely on the head, and the head came to the level of the ground when I was still a young boy. And that experience also remained in me for quite long. And also I remember one thing in the discussion with the medical personnel. I had an accident when I was still a young boy playing with the axe, and the axe slid and hit my head, as some of you might see the scars here, and it became a serious head injuries. When I made this clear, some of you who practice mental health could begin to think that my diagnosis would have been post-traumatic stress disorder. But following series of admissions, hospitalized relapses, I was confirmed to be having a diagnosis called bipolar affective disorder. You may ask how it came about. I also have no explanation for that mental illness. But I take me and also present to you now a discussion with all these stories with I remember the date, 17th of July 2004. That is when my life journey turned from some of you who call it a normal person to somebody who is mad. Mad in the sense that because I was given a diagnosis of bipolar affective disorder. As I told you, it was after a series of admission, because I remember before my turning point of 2009, I was a potential customer for admissions at Gulu Regional Referral Hospital with severe conditions ranging from manic to depression. In the slide you might have heard from the sister in church telling you that she remembers one time when I came to the hospital of the country when I was completely vulgar, aggressive, and hard to touch. Then another time I came to the hospital in our present where one of the medical personnel just recently told me that I was completely mute. I could not speak, and that took me about 2 weeks in the hospital that I could not speak. And they described to me that as being in bipolar affective disorder in the stage of depression. Where my own uncle, what is now my journey with a gun, as I've already told you, not only leaving him like that, but he was smashed completely on the head and the head. 17th of July 2004, when I was still a young boy, changed and the old stories about me experience also remained with me for, I am proud, quite long in this kind of forum to share the good news that in the discussion with the medical person, through a lot of struggles, I also realized a turning point. Much as I lived with the diagnosis, I also realized a turning point from 2009 to date. I have not experienced any hospitalized relapse. And that to me, I feel is an achievement that many of service users are still battling with it. Today they are at home, the following day they are in the hospital. But then it makes me also feel proud to mention some few things that to me I feel helped me to sustain my recovery up to date. Affective disorder. And in this, it takes me back to the theme of sharing stories, Uganda chapter for the first time at Makerere University. From the time that I was getting now a lot of relapses, my family members were so supportive to me. I remember one time I could take a month in the hospital before I became better. And these poor family members used to take turn in taking care of me.